look into the orb and become part of the world coin.
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy. You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is June 30th, 2021. This is episode 357. And today, Sam I Am. Razzle Dazzle, I'm your best buddy Basil.
And this is Gonz, your favorite Asian provocateur for Christ. Welcome to the podcast where we bring you the best news, which is the gospel message of Jesus Christ, while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events. And as those of you in the pre-stream heard, Susan has given the final blow to the Canary Cry Radio YouTube channel. It is dead.
It is dead. It is dead. That's right. So, unfortunately, I mean, the biggest part about this is it means Face Like the Sun is probably next, as we know.
I know.
But there you go. But do remember, I mean, here you go. We had the final blow on the Canary Cry Radio channel, so you know it's coming. But go ahead and follow us if you're on YouTube. Follow us on our backup channel, which is Canary Cry News Talk, youtube.com/Canary Cry News Talk. You can also find links to that at canarycry.party.
Yep.
You have anything else you want to say about that? I don't know if there's much to say.
We are streaming on the Canary Cry News Talk YouTube channel for the first time today. So if you're there, then thank you. Congratulations. You're the first people to draw attention from the Eye of Sauron.
Yes. How many followers we got over there now?
Let me double check.
It's not as much as it should be. Yeah, I'll tell you that much.
I know. I don't know how quickly I can get that information.
I think we were at like 270 last time I checked.
327.
327. Okay, folks, you know the drill. Go to YouTube or go to youtube.com/Canary Cry News Talk. Subscribe to there because when the Face Like the Sun channel goes down, if you're not subscribed to Canary Cry News Talk, that'll be it. That'll be the end. It'll be the end of the YouTube for you. So make sure to do that. I wanted to take a second, Gonz, at the beginning of this show and welcome all brand new listeners. We've been having a nice constant influx of brand new listeners, especially throughout the pandemic here. I want to welcome you, and I want to, address the fact I want brand new listeners to feel seen and heard and address the fact that we understand that this show there's a certain level of obstacles to overcome with this show. We kind of have our own little language. We've got inside jokes. We've got references that maybe we don't explain every single time. And, we get it. It can be a little off-putting trying to get into a new show. But I just want to let you know we see you and we welcome you. This is a safe place for you weirdos. And just want to encourage you to know that we're not trying to alienate people with inside jokes and secret languages. And I want to encourage you to stick around because you'll get it. And it only takes about an episode or two to be in on the joke. So stick around.
And you can always help produce the show by asking a question with your producership if you want to know something. That's a good way to.
Yes, we'll be happy to answer questions.
Yeah, we've been podcasting since 2012. I've had the Face Like the Sun YouTube channel since 2011 and been blogging since 2011. So it's a decade, 10 years of content.
We've got 10-year-old inside jokes, but it doesn't take long to get integrated.
Right. And it's not just inside jokes. A lot of times we'll get notes from people or comments about, hey, you guys don't cover this story. And it's we covered it.
Don't you know about Luciferase? Yes, we were talking about Luciferase in 2016.
Yeah.
And we are very aware. and not that's not a brag.
No,
not trying to
it's
be
not a brag.
not trying to be a jerk about it. Just saying, yeah, you're in the right place.
Yeah.
If you want to know about Luciferus, explore the 10 years of material we have for you. It's all there for you.
Yeah, and if you're just
Dan,
I like how you
in
just
Montana.
come up with Dan in Montana. Wow, whoa.
Yep.
Really
I'm
going
helping you
after
out.
people in Montana. What do you have
Dan-
against people in Montana? It's a beautiful
It's Dan
state
in
over there.
Montana. It's Patty in West Virginia.
Okay.
I hear. We know you're here.
All right. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You can also go to newpodcastapps.com and you can download some new apps that are Podcast 2.0 compliant. And we got a little, I guess it's a shout out, a response on my Twitter page from Adam Curry, who is the co-host of No Agenda Show and the podfather, the man who co-invented the RSS feed, which is the podcast. So getting a little, a shout out from him was really nice. And, we've been on the podcasting 2.0 train from the beginning. It's a little technical. It's not always the easiest thing to integrate into stuff. A lot of the value for value side of things is all based on Lightning Network, which is not the easiest thing to get into because you got to kind of understand Bitcoin and then you got to learn Lightning Network and there's a barrier there still.
You're already making my head spin.
Sure. But so you can go to newpodcastapps.com and look at all the development happening there because I think that is kind of the new way things are going to work apart from the mega tech platforms where anytime you comment, someone that comments can get a little Satoshis. It's everything is value for value, which is pretty amazing when you get into it. But in any case,
and we'll be talking more about podcasting 2.0 as we make sort of the full transition or addition, as it were, to our outlets. We might even make, I don't know, a little video, maybe a little mini episode or something just to round it out a little bit more. And I know Adam Curry is putting out a lot of great resources and information. So the info's out there if you want to learn. But for, the full on cancellation of the Canary Cry Radio YouTube channel does signal sort of the next step in transitioning out of the sort of mainstream broadcast mediums or outlets. We've been getting strikes for a while now, but the actual full cancellation is sort of next level. So,
right.
We'll do our best to put out resources as well. And not just for us either, not just for our show. There will come a time sooner or later where you just can't at all rely on YouTube for the info that you want. And I know it'll take like a little bit of patience and a little bit of intentionality to make sure that you're hooked into the alternative independent media frameworks. But it'll be worth it. Yeah. Because the alternative is you just turn into a YouTube hive mind sort of compliant sheeple, which is, what, if that's how you want to live your life, that's fine. We all have to make those choices. Yeah. But there you go. So
just for clarity too, I see Dento Bean. How are we watching if you guys were canceled? As most of you know, we've been streaming on two channels.
Dento Bean, you know this, Dento Bean.
We have the Face Like the Sun YouTube channel and the Canary Cry Radio YouTube channel. It's the Canary Cry Radio YouTube channel that was shut down completely. Yeah, got the third strike.
Bean.
Are you disappointed in Dento Bean?
Dento Bean. Okay. All right. You ready to keep moving?
Yep.
All right, let's pop in. We both have something else to talk about.
I still have a little tickle in my throat, so I may cough. I'll try to cough off mic. I don't have a cough button. I should get one. I should get a mute thing. They have them. It's like a little foot pedal. I'll grab one eventually. But
I know I've been meaning to get one too.
Yeah, and I woke up this morning. Have you heard of Mongolian throat singing, Basil?
I have. I'm a huge fan.
Yeah, I felt like that this morning. I woke up and I was very...
Wow.
Yeah, I was like... Well, anyway.
Yeah. Well, you sound great, Gonz. You
Thanks.
got the sultry The dulcet tones of an angel. I was going to mention, I was talking to a listener of the show recently, and they were listening to the show. They were sitting by the pool, had their headphones in. Somebody came up to them and just started talking. You know, these people who will come speak words to you in public, and you kind of don't expect it to happen, especially when you're listening to a podcast. And they started asking, what are you listening to? Oh, I'm listening to this, this online radio show. They call them podcasts. This person they were talking to was a little bit on the older side. So, this person was curious. Oh, what are you listening to? Oh, well, it's a show called Canary Cry News Talk. And they're like, oh, what's your biggest takeaway? What are you learning?
Give me your elevator pitch, listener.
Yeah, pitch me this online radio show you are speaking of. And here's the thing. You don't necessarily, well, some people do, but this person did not necessarily want to dive into. So, I don't know, pick any topic, disembodied spirits of Nephilim inhabiting biological machines to harvest our organs for whatever reason, or perhaps some sort of deep state conspiracy, whatever the case may be. And they just said, oh, well, I've been learning about robots and AI and how they're taking everybody's jobs. And I thought, you know what? That's beautiful. You listen to our show, you've got a wealth of things that you can talk about if asked. And, no matter who you're talking to, everybody wants to know about the robots and how they're going to take our jobs. And that's part of the reason why we start the show out with a Flippy update.
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
And for those who are new to the show, let me tell you, the Flippy update is Flippy is the colloquial name for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. We use talking about Flippy as a way to explore all the new, fun, and exciting ways that robots are taking over the world and how there's nothing we can do about it. I forgot to mention, Gons, I did change the Flippy update today. I
just realized that.
Okay,
not telling me about that.
I forgot to tell you that in our pre-show production meeting. But I did change it here. So this is coming from Bloomberg.com, and I want to thank producer Igorius for bringing this to my attention. This came out on the 28th, and it reads like this: fired by bot at Amazon. Quote, it's you against the machine. Dun, dun, dun. And it goes like this. Stefan. It's that name again. I'm going to call him Stefan.
Yeah.
Stefan Normandin spent almost 4 years racing around Phoenix, delivering packages as a contract driver for Amazon.com Incorporated. Then, one day, he received an automated email. The algorithms tracking him had decided he wasn't doing his job properly. The 63-year-old Army veteran was stunned. He'd been fired by a machine.
Ooh.
Normandin says Amazon punished him for things beyond his control that prevented him from completing his deliveries, such as locked apartment complexes. He said he took the termination hard and, priding himself on a strong work ethic, recalled that during his military career, he helped cook for 250,000 Vietnamese refugees at Fort Chaffee in Arkansas. Quote, I'm an old school kind of guy, and I give every job 110%, he said. Quote, this really upset me because we're talking about my reputation. They say I didn't do the job when I know dang well I did. Normandin's experience is a twist on the decades-old prediction that robots will replace workers. At Amazon, machines are often the boss. At Amazon, machines are often the boss, hiring, rating, and firing millions of people with little or no human oversight. Amazon became the world's largest online retailer in part by outsourcing its sprawling operations to algorithms, sets of computer instructions designed to solve specific problems. For years, the company has used algorithms to manage the millions of third-party merchants on its online marketplace, drawing complaints that sellers have been booted off after being falsely accused of selling counterfeit goods and jacking up prices. Increasingly, the company is ceding its human resources operation to machines as well, using software not only to manage workers in its warehouses, but to oversee contract drivers, independent delivery companies, and even the performance of its office workers. People familiar with the strategy say Chief Executive Officer Jeffrey Bezos believes machines make decisions more quickly and accurately than people, reducing costs and giving Amazon a competitive advantage. Amazon started its gig-style flex delivery service in 2015, and the army of contract drivers quickly became a critical part of the company's delivery machine. Typically, flex drivers handle packages that haven't been loaded on an Amazon van before the driver leaves. Rather than making the customer wait, flex drivers ensure the packages are delivered the same day. They also handle a large number of same-day grocery deliveries from Amazon's Whole Foods market chain. Flex drivers helped keep Amazon humming during the pandemic and were only too happy to earn about $25 an hour shuttling packages after their Uber and Lyft gigs dried up. But the moment they sign in, flex drivers discover algorithms are monitoring their every move. Did they get to the delivery station when they said they would? Did they complete their route in the prescribed window? Did they leave a package in full view of porch pirates instead of hidden behind a planter as requested? Amazon algorithms scanned the gusher of incoming data for performance patterns and decide which drivers get more routes and which are deactivated. Deactivated guns. Yeah. Human feedback is rare. Drivers occasionally receive automated emails, but mostly they're left to obsess about their ratings, which include 4 categories: fantastic, great, fair, or at risk. And the article goes on in quite the expose of the situation here. But as we've dove into all the new fun and exciting ways that robots are going to take over the world, now there's nothing we can do about it. We've talked about burger flipping robots. We've talked about delivery robots. We've talked about robots becoming scientists, replacing graduate students,
artists, construction workers,
writers, construction workers, farmers, everything, cow milkers. Robots are taking over everywhere. And one sort of bastion that I would say maybe like robot apocalypse anti-alarmists will say is that, the robots can never take away the human touch. You'll always need human resource people. And Amazon is proving that is absolutely not true. As we've seen with the nursing robots completely deleting the human touch of the nursing profession, same with managers. Managers is also one of these things that the anti-alarmism people will say, like, there'll always be human managers. You need a human to, et cetera, et cetera. And it's just not true. And you can't trust these robot anti-alarmists. In fact, I would suggest you need to maybe check for some sort of maintenance panel on the back of someone's neck if they're trying to tell you that to not be worried about the robots taking over.
Yeah, I would argue also that our YouTube termination, the Canary Cry Radio deletion, was also automated. I think we were definitely removed by a bot because
the strikes definitely start that way for sure.
Yeah, but because it's the number of strikes, you get a warning and then you get 3 strikes and you're out. If an algorithm discovered that you said the words whatever it is, that's
they
on the
listen
list.
to every. We probably have more robots listening to this show than we do humans.
Well, in terms of the YouTube, the actual team YouTube, because the emails that come, especially the one that told us that they found severe and repeated violations of our community guidelines. It's signed sincerely, the YouTube team, which is kind of a nice way of saying us and a bunch of algos, like some humans and also some algos. So,
as we know, robots will be co-conspirators. They are co-workers. There's a robot on your team. The robot is not a tool to be used by your team. It is a member with personhood on whatever you're working on. I do want to give a shout out to KT Cleans a Lot on YouTube for bringing something just so wonderful to my attention. And that is critical robot theory is the new CRT, instead of critical race theory. Critical robot theory. I think we could possibly coin that term, considering we've been hyper focused, maybe a little obsessed with the robot takeover for about 10 years, reporting on the personhood issue in our first 20 episodes, something like
Must
that.
have been within the first 10.
Yeah. It was really early. And so critical robot theory. Katie Cleans a Lot. We'll put you on the academic peer-reviewed paper when we become
the panel
activists.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, you got anything else to go on this story here?
That's the rest is history.
I feel bad for the guy too, an Army veteran. Of all people, he would be the guy. And he's got a cross necklace and a fanny pack. You can't fire this guy. He seems like
and a fanny pack. He seems like, of course, this is another example. So it's been criticism of sort of American cold-hearted lizard people corporatism for decades, that they don't really care about the individuals working for them. Humans are just sort of a widget. People are a widget to be replaced. Mm-hmm. And the sort of apocalyptic part of this robot takeover is not that the robots are bringing some sort of new mindset and new algorithm or new ideology to the workplace. It's that they are the cold-hearted, perfectly executed version of the long-standing lizard people corporate ideology of dehumanization, at least in American business, but it's global or pancake business. So, that's the worst part, is that these robots are the perfection of the worst parts about our society.
Yeah. Quick administrative note to you, Basil. If you are going to eliminate a flippy story that you often do, can you just throw it into the additional stories just so it's there for the curious-minded?
Yeah. Yep, I will do that.
Because did you see that robot?
I did.
Yeah.
And yes, the reason I skipped it is because we actually reported on that robot when he first came out.
Yeah. But there was footage.
It's the gymnastics, the Disney gymnastics robot.
Yeah, but he did the Spider-Man move, like in the sky. He did the whole roll in the... All right, never mind.
Yeah, no, it's very impressive. So interesting. We actually reported on that robot before we switched to our 3-hour format, before the pandemic.
Well, it would have been a good reason to report it again, but
I agree.
Not good enough for Basil.
I should have kept it around. I just got too excited about this one that Igoria sent us.
Cool. Well, hopefully everybody is staying cool because the elites have decided.
Burn it all.
This first story here from The Guardian. I think they changed the headline here. Joe Biden blames climate crisis for deadly heat wave in Western U.S. and Canada. Of course.
Of course he does.
Of course he does, yeah. And it says here, Joe Biden has joined scientists. Sorry, I can't do it.
I know. It seems like such a simple sentence, but it's so loaded.
It is
such a loaded term.
Joe,
give me a break.
Joe Biden has joined scientists in blaming the climate crisis for a record-shattering heat wave in the western U.S. and Canada that has been linked to dozens of deaths, buckled roads, blackouts, and wildfires. Officials in Canada have been shocked by the rise in temperature, which on Tuesday hit 49.6 degrees Celsius. It's 121.1 degrees Fahrenheit in the town of Lytton, British Columbia, smashing the national record for the third day in a row. And you know what they say, records are made to be broken. The extended heat wave has also posed a health threat. In the greater Vancouver area, police said they responded to at least 134 deaths over the 3-day heat wave. I think that number is up even higher now. I think it's reached about 200 or maybe even more. Quote, "We've never seen anything like this, and it breaks our hearts," said Sergeant Steve Addison. Quote, "The vast majority of these cases are related to the heat. By Tuesday afternoon," I wonder how many of those are COVID deaths, too. They're like, heat wave, but also COVID-19.
Yeah, what a conundrum.
Yeah.
What a conundrum for them. They have to try to decide whether a death is a COVID death or a climate change death.
Right.
Sorry, climate emergency.
Technically, it's all under the same climate, thing. Even COVID is a climate change issue, right? By Tuesday afternoon, Addison said police in the Vancouver suburb of Burnaby had responded to more than 65 sudden deaths since the heat wave that has spread across the Pacific Northwest of the Americas began on Friday. Quote, the large number of these sudden deaths involved seniors between the ages of 92 to 70. Normally you do the younger age first, right?
Yeah, that's weird.
Weird that they do it backwards. Said Constable Sarbjit Sangha of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police in another suburb, Surrey. Quote, "The youngest person that we had is a 44-year-old. On the U.S. West Coast, Seattle and Portland have registered consecutive days of exceptional heat. Local authorities said they were investigating about a dozen deaths in Washington and Oregon that could be attributed to the scorching temperatures. Quote, anybody ever believe you turn on the news and see it's 116 degrees in Portland, Oregon? 116 degrees, said Biden in a bar.
Did he whisper that?
He might have whispered it.
116 degrees.
I wrote the bill.
Oh, speaking of which, we made the comment about the Joe Biden ASMR last episode.
Yeah.
The Daily Show made a little clip about it.
Oh.
They made a video. So.
Well, they clipped us?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow. We were on the Daily Show?
What's the guy's name? Trevor Noah.
Trevor Noah, yeah.
He's a huge fan of the show.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
He's so woke.
Come on. Produce the show, Trevor Noah.
Yeah, he got paid millions, didn't he? To come out here in America and be the voice of the woke.
Yeah, of course he did.
Okay, so Biden says yes, 116 degrees in Portland, Oregon. 116 degrees, said Biden in a barbed criticism of climate change deniers.
So barbed.
Quote, but don't worry. There's no global warming because it's just a figment of our imaginations.
There's that petulance again from the Biden administration.
Give me a break.
Temperatures in the Vancouver area reached just under 32 degrees Celsius on Monday, but the humidity made it feel close to 40 in areas that were not near water, according to Environment Canada. It goes on here and it talks about just how hot it is, and we get it. It's very, very hot, and stay safe out there. I wanted to just bring a couple of these stories because it is kind of interesting, the timing of a lot of things, and the infrastructure bill, obviously, and then the climate stuff. People made fun of the climate change or global warming, which again, it's interesting that Joe brings up global warming because they changed the language. Remember, global warming wasn't happening. It just kept getting colder for a while. So they changed it from global warming to climate change, but he's bringing it back. He's old school, man.
Oh, that is interesting. I didn't even notice that. He called it global warming again. Yeah. He's not supposed to do that. He's going off script.
Well, yeah, but because it's hot, he can say it now,
It's climate emergency, Joe.
Is Al
Stick
Gore,
to the prompter.
Is Al Gore coming out? See, I told you.
Have you seen the pictures of Al Gore recently?
No.
There was a picture going around of he was making some sort of video comment, and people were sending around screenshots of it. It looks like his face is melting.
I don't think that's real.
You don't think so?
The one where his nose looks like it's turned into the devil nose.
Are you ready for some nose facts?
Sure.
I think it might. I mean, I don't know. I just honestly did not do that much research into it. But your nose and ears never stop growing as you get older.
That. Yeah, I know.
Well, hold on. I'm going through a whole thing.
All right.
So I think his nose is humongous. It's just what happens. Sometimes drinking can be involved in that too. But his eyebrows. Adrenochrome?
Sorry, go on.
Oh, Gons. But it just looks like he had some Botox. I mean, his skin is as smooth as it's ever been.
Yeah, well, I can believe that. Well, I'm looking at a picture here from Up Rocks just to kind of get a. Let me see here. Let's show the audience. I mean, he looks old. He is old.
Yeah.
But
he's got that cool big nose, and this forehead skin is oh, I see. You're looking at a different picture. Oh, he looks tan. Is this the new Orange Man? We have a new Orange Man, everybody.
Maybe it is Trump.
Sorry for my tangent here.
Yeah, we're going down some bad. The other article that I wanted to briefly mention is from the Washington Post. It's the climate change, stupid. That's the headline.
Who said that?
The Washington Post.
Oh, cool.
It's the climate change, stupid.
Yeah, great. What a bastion of journalism in America.
Yeah, and it's not even worth reading. It's kind of the same thing as the other article there, but yeah, I do want to mention. I don't think we reported the heat dome story when I saw it a few days ago. We might have. I don't know. It was also Washington Post. Yeah. How a heat dome is pushing extreme temperatures to new heights in the West. This was June 18th. And they have this diagram in there of the heat dome. And, if you're like a flat earther, if you're a dome earth guy or gal, you might have gotten triggered by this thing. But not to be outdone, you have the computer models. The article stated, by Sunday, computer models indicate the intensity of the heat dome will begin to wane. Which it didn't, by the way. It didn't. It got worse. So again, computer models proving to be completely worthless.
I know. Even professional climate scientists say these computer models are just sort of fun to play with, and that they're pretty bad at actually figuring things out. Mainly because of clouds. It's very difficult to accurately represent clouds in a computer model. And so, you can put in as many numbers as you want, but if there's clouds, throws the whole equation off.
Or it's the elite playing with the HARP machine and, messing with the scientists'
That's probably more than likely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you got HARP up in Alaska there, just miles away from Canada.
Supposedly shut down, right? Or are they back open? I can't remember. I remember at one point they
claimed that it's shut down, but they also claim that aliens did not crash land at Roswell.
Sure. They also claim aliens exist or don't exist.
No, they don't. They don't claim anything very specifically. We need to pay them billions of dollars of taxpayer resources in order for them to answer that question.
Sure. And I remember actually when we did our, I think it was, I don't remember if it was the geoengineering interview we did, but pretty early in the Canary Cry radio days, we actually quoted right from the HARP website where they talked about, they were trying to deny all the criticisms of like, we don't control the weather. Our technology isn't about that. It's to track everybody. And we were like, what? Why would they say that? And then they basically admitted like, oh yeah, we use our technology to be able to track all the data and all the people and the climate and the change. And we were like, okay. The other thing is just, with the dome thing, speaking of predictive programming, there was a show called Under the Dome. Did you ever watch any episodes of Under the Dome?
No.
Yeah, either did I, but
oh, cool.
Literally the show is there's a mysterious dome that takes over a town and you can neither go in nor out of this large dome.
Like the Simpsons episode.
Yeah.
Like the Truman Show.
Yeah. Here's the other theory here. I don't know if they're related, but there's been a lot of Bill Gates hate happening, and we'll get to the Bill Gates story. It's the second half of the show. There's another Daily Mail article that really a scathing article about Bill Gates. But, Bill Gates, his whole hometown area is the Pacific Northwest. And I don't know. This is just complete. I'm just throwing it out there for people to think about. Is there a connection between throwing Bill Gates under the bus at this time and the crazy heating up of that general area? Do you think it's like some kind of messaging going on there, or am I reading too much into it?
Maybe a little bit of both. I don't know. It's who knows, Gons. I mean, you are a crazy fringe alternative independent media producer, but, unfortunately, we get more things right than we get wrong.
Yeah.
I want to know, and maybe you'd be able to do a quick search on this because I have my VR hand. I can't quite do it. One of the problems that we've seen in the past that just sort of roll my eyes is they'll say, it's a climate emergency. It's hotter in Texas than it has been in 100 years. And it's like, okay, so it's been this hot before. Yes, but 100 years ago. So you mean before like cars and human-made pollution? Yes, but now it's that hot again for 100 years. Like, okay, so it's been this hot before, even before cars and human-made pollution. So why is it suddenly now, a climate emergency, man-made climate emergency, and it wasn't 100 years ago? Would you want to see if there's anything about this about Oregon? What'd they say? It was 116 in Oregon?
Yeah.
Is that the hottest on record, or was it this hot 100 years ago?
Let me see here. Hottest on record in all 50 states. Let's see that. Let's see if there's something there. I know one part of it is, yes, it might be breaking some records, but as you pointed out, it might be records based on the 100 years of tracking and not necessarily.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. I'm not against it breaking records.
Years.
Yeah, well, I mean, even if in the 100 or so years we've been recording, mass weather data, if it's been that hot before, it's been that hot before. And
right. It's not man-made climate change.
I mean, whatever. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But it's at least say that. I mean, at least bring it up. Yeah. It's not even mentioned.
I did find this earthobservatory.nasa.gov website. Mm-hmm. And it's not a specific state or anything like that, but it says the world is getting warmer. Thermometer readings around the world have been rising since the Industrial Revolution. Mm-hmm. And the causes are a blend of human activity and some natural variability, with the preponderance of evidence saying humans are mostly responsible.
Okay, so they're mixing it. They're doing a little mix. Yeah. Little nature versus nurture. Little nature plus nurture.
2/3 of the so they mentioned 1880. So it's, the temperature has increased a little more than 1 degree Celsius since 1880. 2/3 of the warming has occurred since 1975. At a rate of roughly. So again,
yeah. We've heard
it's
it
all
all
context
before.
of like the last.
You just want to look at the data, though. They're taking all these averages. I just want to know: has it been 116 in Oregon before? But we don't need to answer that question now. Just something to think about, listeners. You can Google it for yourselves. Yeah. I don't know what the answer is.
Yeah.
All right. Well, do we want to move on? I see you have a little note here.
Oh yeah, we did get an email from Marius.
No, this is from Anonymous.
Is it anonymous?
It is anonymous. And I have it right here.
Yeah, you got it.
It says, "Hi, Basil and Gons. I thought I'd give you a boots on the ground update of what I'm experiencing inside the heat dome. I live in the BC Rockies, and for the past week, I have not seen any clouds or airplane contrails. There is very little wind, and an eerie silence has overtaken the mountains. Today, it's at its hottest. It was 43 Celsius. That's 109 Fahrenheit. Not super hot when compared to Death Valley, California, but super hot for a northern mountain town. Stepping outside my air-conditioned workplace, the sun feels like a hot iron radiating heat on you, and it feels just as close. I have never felt the sun quite like this, and I grew up in an eastern metropolis, kind of weather that makes the concrete hot and asphalt sticky. It was often the surfaces that felt hot and the sun was just a constant light warming things up. Not this time. The water supply has broken down due to snow melt and higher than average flow in the creek supplying the water. The high rate of flow has created so much silt that the municipality cannot filter and pump potable water. Oh my gosh. Interesting. Sounds like you guys need an infrastructure bill. We are instructed to boil water if necessary, or purchase bottled water, obviously completely sold out. No need to pray for me, as I have been eating a lot of watermelon, and I am doing better than most of the town. Well, don't tell me not to pray for you if I want to. But okay, Anonymous. Basil, I also have a supply of electrolytes in the form of yellow to brownish bananas. Ha! Gross. Get those green bananas. I thought I'd let the show and its listeners know what is happening, especially in light of recent talks about the fragility of our infrastructure. Our water supply has broken down due to too much water in the rivers. Oh, too much water.
That's what I was going to point out from this note, is that being in California, there was a little town in California. We don't have the story here. It's a small town of like 700 people. They have no water. They just completely, the water supply just is gone. And all we hear about is drought in California. And in the meantime, if you're in an area, more mountainous, the snow is melting so fast that they can't filter the water fast enough. Water.
Yeah.
It's like, this is all pointing to infrastructure stuff.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. If you have not enough water, infrastructure bill. If you have too much water, infrastructure bill. Whatever the situation, we need to print more money.
Biden needs time. Yep, go on. Do you want to finish the note here?
I'll just finish it out here. The technical term used locally is turbidity, which kicks up the sediment on the riverbeds. For all the listeners, keep a supply of non-perishables and some personal filtration devices, which works anytime, anywhere except salt water, and pray that our Lord may be back soon. Prayerful fan, Anonymous. Well, thank you very much, Anonymous. We appreciate all the boots on the ground reports that come in from producers around the world. And yes, if you're under the heat dome, dear listener, we'll be praying for you, and get yourself a water filter.
Yep.
All right. Next up, Gons, let's check in on the cyber pandemic.
The COVID-19 crisis would be seen as a small disturbance in comparison to a major cyber pandemic.
Cyber pandemic. This is coming from Bloomberg.com in the cybersecurity section, and the headline reads, Top Pentagon cyber official probed over disclosure concerns. The Pentagon official, who has been overseeing its new cybersecurity initiative for defense contractors, has been placed on leave in connection with a suspected unauthorized disclosure of classified information from a military intelligence agency, according to an official document. Oopsies. Katie Arrington, Chief Information Security Officer for the Pentagon's Acquisition and Sustainment Office, which is a fancy name for accounting, I think, but was informed May 11th that, quote, her security clearance for access to classified information is being suspended as a result of a reported unauthorized disclosure of classified information and subsequent removal of access by the National Security Agency, according to a memo made available to Bloomberg News. The National Security Agency, which is part of the Defense Department, gathers some of the nation's most sensitive signals and eavesdropping intelligence from foreign adversaries, mostly via satellite. Quote, if this preliminary decision becomes final, you will not be eligible for access to classified information or assignments to duties that have been designated national security sensitive. The memo from the Office of the Undersecretary of Defense for Acquisition and Sustainment said. The memo to Arrington provided no details about the possible disclosure of information. Pentagon acquisition spokesperson Jessica Maxwell said the department can't comment on any questions about Arrington's status. Quote, absolutely no decisions have been made or have been reached regarding any aspect, Arrington's attorney, Marcus Zaid, said in an email. He confirmed the content of the memo, saying that, quote, when faced with such programmatic allegations, DoD would routinely open an investigation as a matter of course. This is how the system works. Accepting an investigation, however, doesn't prejudge the merits. Arrington is on administrative leave during the, quote, preliminary investigation, the specific details of which have not been made known to us, Zaid said. Quote, she has neither been fired nor had her security clearance revoked. He said, "We look forward to an opportunity to completely clear her name and her return to work." Arrington is a former 2-term Republican state representative from South Carolina who ran an unsuccessful campaign for Congress in 2018 that emphasized her private sector cyber experience. She was brought into the Pentagon in 2019 under the category of highly qualified expert, and later competed for and attained the nonpartisan senior executive service status, Saeed said. Her official Pentagon biography says she has more than 15 years of cyber experience. Quote, "Through positions at Booz Allen Hamilton, Centuria Corporation, and Dispersive Networks. These positions have given her a unique experience of supporting and work with the government at large, small, and non-traditional contracting firms." A U.S. official familiar with the case said Arrington's politics as a Republican under a Democrat president aren't a factor in the investigation, and it's not an attempt to force her from the Pentagon.
Is that why Yahoo News reporting Rachel Maddow, NBC, that Trump's politicized hiring practices complicated normal government operations under Biden? That's their headline for this story.
I know. And Biden, in his own words, have, at least in the White House memos that went out, basically compelling people in the military and the government to snitch on people who are conservative, because we can't have any extremists working in the government or the military. So it does kind of stink of that, doesn't it?
It does, and it will emerge as kind of a theme, I think, in especially today's episode, of whether you like Trump or you hate Trump. He kind of did throw a wrench in how things operated, like the normal corruption protocol. Right. He placed people in there that would at least expose some of it, or at least draw attention to maybe some of the problems. And so I'm not surprised that we're seeing stuff like this where they're calling out this one cybersecurity expert because she was a Trump favorite, and all of a sudden, they can't exactly do everything they want to do, maybe the way they want to, or maybe they had been doing, and so they got to call her out.
Especially in the context of the cyber pandemic, the Great Reset, all this sort of stuff. I mean, one thing that Trump got in trouble for was getting rid, like he would just slash entire departments of the government that, were like he slashed the pandemic preparedness office or whatever. Like
and Fauci was like, "Oh yeah, I'll show you with the pandemic."
Sure. But it kind of echoes this of Biden kind of doing the same thing. Like, oh, we have a cyber pandemic coming. We should probably get rid of this Republican cyber expert out of the office. Let's finish up here. Just a couple more paragraphs. The official who discussed the case on condition of anonymity, of course, because of its sensitivity, also said the disclosure investigation isn't connected to Arrington's management of the Pentagon's ambitious cybersecurity maturity model certification system, or CMMC, which is being slowly implemented as Deputy Defense Secretary Kathleen Hicks reviews the program inherited from the Trump administration. So this was a Trump administration program, the cybersecurity maturity model certification system. It just happens to be that the Republican in charge of Trump's program is getting mysteriously pestered, I guess.
I don't remember if this is the article that goes into what that actually entails, but it's pretty. It does. Okay. All right. Then go ahead. And finish it up.
I mean, there's only 3 more paragraphs here. It'll give us a rundown. In 2019, Arrington took over implementing the program and attempting to build industry support for its complex certification process. She quickly emerged as a skillful ambassador, speaking at dozens of events to sell the program to the defense industry, according to Bloomberg government analyst Chris Corneli, who has studied the the program. Under the certification program, every company in the defense supply chain, as many as 300,000 American companies, producing everything from F-35 fighter jets to computer microprocessors to office supplies and plumbing equipment, must undergo a cybersecurity audit performed by a third party about every 3 years, overseen by an accreditation board, Corneli said. It's proceeding at a halting pace. The program sets the standard for our defense industrial base and must be the first step in establishing a framework of safeguards for industry, Senator Joe Manchin said in an email, the West Virginia Democrat, who's chairman of the Senate Armed Services Committee Cyber Panel, said during a May 19th hearing that Hicks, quote, will be making significant modifications to the certification process.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, they just happened to say they're going to be making significant modifications.
Yeah. And of course, is this the lawyer that came out and said it has nothing to do with the disclosure of this whole CMMC thing?
Well, it was a U.S. official familiar with the case.
Okay. The fact that they would even say that suggests that it has everything to do with it.
Of course it is.
Because
this is exactly what it is. It's a Trump era thing meant to shore up cybersecurity.
Yeah.
But remember, cybersecurity, you got the cyber pandemic from Klaus Schwab, you've got the Great Reset, and you've got Biden's infrastructure plan, which includes cybersecurity. And with now a history of hacks in the U.S. Government, the SolarWinds hack, that this was very important that they're able to shore up cybersecurity. But we can't have any pesky, industry experts actually getting the job done.
Right.
This needs to be an impotent attempt so that hacks can continue and money can be printed.
Yeah. You pretty much nailed it. It's it's just crazy how they're warning of a cyber pandemic. Well, we have a lady who can help shore up 300,000 American companies in all kind of important sectors to shore up their cybersecurity with an audit system and third party.
We can't have this
accreditation board. No, that'll slow down the cyber pandemic. We can't do this.
We can't not have government hacks.
So throw this lady under the bus because she's halting our plans for a cyber pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty obvious. I don't feel like this is a stretch to even suggest that there's a nefarious agenda going on, given the, I think coming, I guess it's July, the Cyber Polygon 2021, where they, and the national, what was it? The National Guard just had their drill last week.
Yep.
Of a huge cyber attack on the West Coast. So, yeah, it's just funny the timing of it all, And what did they get her for? Leaking disclosure of classified information. They don't say what, right?
And her lawyer said that they didn't even tell them, didn't even tell her or the lawyer exactly what that was. She has no idea what this disclosure is. I feel like if there was any sort of important disclosure that we would have heard about it, unless maybe this is sort of secret code for she told a Russian spy.
Sure. That's the other. I've seen people speculate that she was the one that, connecting different news stories out there right now. She's the one that told Tucker Carlson that he's being spied on. And I'm like, I don't think so. I mean, it could be, but I don't think that's the angle here.
She's the one who said that?
No, people are saying, people are trying to connect the dots between her and the Tucker Carlson story, which we'll get to later as well.
That would be interesting.
That is interesting.
That's an interesting dot connect, but I don't think there's any current evidence to show that would be the case.
Yeah, the thread connecting the two dots is thin.
It's not there. It's absent. Well, sounds like it's a good time to talk about the Great Reset.
Oh, you like the Great Reset, huh? Klaus likes the Great Reset.
We need a Great Reset.
Learn to use the dark side.
Blockchain.
Yeah, we haven't used that blockchain one in a while.
No.
A couple different stories here in regards to all that is blockchain and the Great Reset. This is MarketWatch.com. Capital report. government must have power to reverse crypto transactions, says
Why?
says co-chair of Blockchain Caucus.
Wow. There's a blockchain caucus.
Yeah,
Great.
Yeah. And before we read this, we lean not like super pro Bitcoin, but we're just, Bitcoin in the current milieu.
There's a philosophy behind Bitcoin that is we find agreeable.
Right. And not that the technology is airtight. It is pretty good, but in terms of its inability for the government to stick their hand in the economic process and distribution of a medium of exchange or a store of value. They don't like
losing control.
They don't like losing control at all. So one of the things that if you read the Bitcoin white paper in the abstract, it says, this is a peer-to-peer digital currency that removes third parties. You don't need a third party. You don't need a PayPal. You don't need a bank. You don't need a Federal Reserve to allocate, distribute, monitor the financial transactions between two people. But of course, the government is like, no, we must be able to reverse crypto transactions. Let's see what it says here. Many in the cryptocurrency industry have long demanded that Congress provide, quote, regulatory clarity on how it will tax and regulate digital assets. But as powerful figures in Washington weigh in, it's doubtful crypto enthusiasts are liking what they hear. Democratic Rep. Bill Foster of Illinois, co-chair of the House Blockchain Caucus, said Tuesday that laws must be passed to allow federal courts to identify digital asset holders and then reverse transactions in Bitcoin or other digital currencies, a policy that is anathema to many cryptocurrency investors. Not just anathema, but technologically impossible in some cases, not all.
At least in the current form of the Bitcoin blockchain.
Yeah. Quote, you have to be able to go to a court and to unmask participants under some circumstances, Foster said during an Axios virtual event Tuesday, adding that cryptocurrencies must be, quote, pseudo-anonymous so the regulators can see. Okay. If transactions on the network are fraudulent. Different cryptocurrencies exist in a continuum of anonymity. Bitcoin, for instance, is largely anonymous, even as every transaction on the network is public for anyone to investigate. However, there are methods of discovering someone's real-world identity by studying this transaction history and searching the internet for instances when a Bitcoin user may have accidentally linked their Bitcoin wallet with personal information. It's possible, for example, for a user to send his wallet address along with an email signature that includes personal information like a name or phone number. Foster suggested new laws should require a different form of pseudo-anonymity wherein a court, that is a third party, could learn the real-world identity of a cryptocurrency user through, quote, a very heavily guarded key. Foster argued such tools are necessary for the government. Foster argued such tools are necessary for the government is to protect itself. Weird wording. American businesses and individuals from ransomware attacks like the one used to extort millions of dollars from Colonial Pipeline, an incident that led to widespread gasoline shortages last month. Even though the FBI was able to retrieve...
They found it in like 4 days.
Because the Bitcoin was sent to a wallet that the FBI already had the private keys to, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, so strange, huh? They just happened to already have the password to the ransom account.
Yeah, which suggests that the FBI are behind the hack. Quote, I've just said about 3 things that will drive the crypto purist berserk, like the trusted third party and so on. But in fact, there's not a technological alternative that I am aware of, Foster said. Quote, for most people, if they're going to have a big part of their net worth tied up in crypto assets, they're going to want to have the security blanket of a trusted third party that can solve the problem. Yeah, I guess that is the rub, isn't it? Like, this is why the anarchists and the libertarians loved Bitcoin when it first came out, because it's like, oh, you mean I can hold my own digital money without a bank or a government? Cool. You know, it's like holding gold, like actual physical gold coins, but you can hold your own digital money now. Many in the cryptocurrency industry have argued that no government can actually prevent its citizens from buying and selling Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies that provide varying degrees of anonymity. For instance, Changpeng Zhao, or CZ he's known as, CEO of the world's largest crypto exchange Binance, said at the recent CoinDesk Consensus 2021 virtual conference that, quote, "I don't think anyone can shut it down now, given that this technology, this concept, is in 500 million people's heads." Meaning, people have memorized their private keys. Mm-hmm. Just a few weeks later, the United Kingdom restricted use of the exchange within its borders, but the impact of that move on crypto use in the UK remains to be seen. And just to clarify that, they did ban some of the fiat on and off ramps, but I don't think they banned Binance in the UK, so you can still access the exchange. Foster continued that cryptocurrencies must be compliant with federal regulations and laws for them to ever become mainstream instruments for conducting transactions. Quote, "We're going to have to establish a law between the legal and illegal regimes here," Foster said. That's not how this works. Criminals aren't going to be like, "Okay, government, I agree with your laws that we will break."
It's like saying, "Do not bring a gun into this bank."
Got it.
Now the only people bringing guns in the bank will be people wanting to rob the bank.
Quote, "There's a significant sentiment, increasing sentiment in Congress that if you're practicing in an anonymous crypto transaction, that you're a de facto participant in a criminal conspiracy." So all those anonymous people that have sent us Bitcoin, you are a de facto participant in a criminal conspiracy. You use this guy's logic.
Jeez Louise. And
things didn't get better today. I think they were doing some more hearings. And people were saying just some ridiculous stuff. It's really, as kind of someone that's been tracking crypto for a while, it's tough because on one hand, it's like, you got to kind of, it's always that narrow middle, right? Because if you go too far in one direction, you're basically agreeing with the technocracy of like, we need more educated tech people running government, But if you go too far the other way, you're just complicit with the Federal Reserve, creature from Jekyll Island of like, hey, we just need to stick to fiat. The government's going to help us with our money forever and ever and print and all this stuff. So it's tough, but the more this goes on, the more they're going to have to be complicit. And I think the way they are going to control it or try to control it is not by controlling Bitcoin itself or many of the top cryptocurrencies. I think it's them releasing their own cryptocurrencies, whether it be CBDCs, which is the central bank digital currencies, or, like a digital yuan. That's what that is. Or this next story here. Basil, that's you.
Yeah, sorry, I was replacing my battery in my controller here.
I heard you clicking around over there. You want me to?
No, I got it. Okay, so this next story is coming from Bloomberg again. A lot of Bloomberg this episode.
Bloomby.
And it goes like this. The headline, Sam Altman wants to scan your eyeball in exchange for cryptocurrency.
Oh, thanks.
What could go wrong?
Thanks, Sam.
Yeah, Sam Altman has a new startup that intends to give a special type of cryptocurrency to every person on Earth. But first, it wants to scan everybody's eyeballs. Altman, the former head of the Silicon Valley business incubator Y Combinator, is one of three founders of the company WorldCoin.
Okay, so
cool.
I was exchanging text messages with the folks over at Truth Stream Media. It's Aaron and Melissa. And I was telling them about this story, and they were like, "Really, WorldCoin?" Mm-hmm. I was like, "Yeah, WorldCoin." Like that's not even close to like it's not at all. It's not creative. It's
not even a good name.
If you're like a script writer, a film writer or something like that, and you have a plot where this evil genius tech guy wants to take over the world, and he has this idea for WorldCoin, some of the advisors would be like, "That gotta come up with a better name. That's a bad name for a project."
What about Libra? How about that? That sounds good. Little cryptocurrency joke for all you cool crypto kids.
Facebook joke.
Okay. Among the many parts of its plan, WorldCoin has designed an orb-shaped device that would scan a person's iris to construct a unique personal identifier. The company is backed by Andreessen Horowitz, the venture capital arm of Coinbase Global Incorporated, LinkedIn founder Reid Hoffman, and Day One Ventures. It recently raised about $25 million from investors. Altman, 36, said in an interview that he conceived the idea in late 2019.
Sounds like some watchers were whispering into his ear.
I mean, the funny part is that's like not even an original idea.
No, it's
like,
not.
oh, you scan an eyeball and then you get cryptocurrency.
Well,
Pretty sure that's in the Bible or close to it.
Before you go on here, it mentions, Reid Hoffman, the founder of One Day Ventures. He has been part of Bilderberg since 2011. So
yeah, perfect.
Yeah, there's your globalist connection.
Totally.
Yeah.
The intention was to use cryptocurrency to spread money around equitably. Inspired by you gotta get the buzzwords in there. Inspired by the trendy economic theory known as universal basic income.
Trendy,
So
it's trendy, bro. You heard of UBI?
Oh my gosh. You heard of TikTok? If you like TikTok, you're going to love universal basic income. Altman was the first investor in WorldCoin, but said he has no role in the day-to-day operations and mainly serves as an advisor to the company when needed. Quote, I've been very interested in things like universal basic income and what's going to happen to global wealth redistribution and how we can do that better, Altman said. See, this is a major shareholder capitalism mindset.
Yeah.
Oh, me? I'm just a billionaire, but I want to make sure that everybody gets a little bit of money. I mean,
he's not
me. I still get all my money, but other people can have just a little bit of money.
And he doesn't want to get his hands dirty. He's just an advisor. He lets other people. He's like all those tech guys that are like, oh, I'm the genius. I'll get on the stage and take all the credit.
Be Elon. They all want to be Elon. They want to become emperor of WorldCoin.
Right.
Quote, is there a way we can use technology to do that at a global scale? Oh, I don't know. Is there, Altman? The head of ventures is Alexander Blania, 27. Oh my gosh. What are we doing?
It's happening, man.
27-year-olds. This is really sad. The head of the venture is Alexander Blania, 27, former student of theoretical physics at the California Institute of Technology and the Max Planck Society.
There it is again. There's all the people, all the things.
It's the globalist takeover here. He co-founded WorldCoin with alum Altman and Max Novenstern, who previously worked at Ray Dalio's investment firm Bridgewater Associates and at money transfer startup Wave. Wow. Very, this is like
Silicon Valley, like happy soup over here.
Altman and Blania agreed to discuss their project, which hasn't been previously reported, after Bloomberg uncovered details of it and inquired.
Bloomberg doing its job.
Got leaked. Bloomberg leaked them. WorldCoin is still preparing for a formal unveiling, but for now, the startup is evaluating what it might take to one day get cryptocurrency to as many people as possible, Blania said. Quote, so many people around the world don't have access to financial systems yet, Blania said. Crypto has the opportunity to get there. Notice how the conversation is orbiting